Do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
Hello. It is Wednesday night, so you know what that means. A hard cut of the music by Ryan. It is the Mark Order Podcast. It is me, Ryan, and I am joined, as always, by no Kate, but I am joined by Joe. How you doing, Joe?
Oh, I'm good. We're here finally. A little late, but we're here.
Yeah, for anyone watching live wondering what the heck happened, so are we. We just couldn't log in. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not even going to hide it. We just couldn't log in. I don't know what was going on. And we were, sorry, I'm just making, as part of that, there's some weird stuff that popped up. I'm just making sure nothing logs me out as we go. What the heck happened? Anyway, we couldn't log in, and I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. So I'm a little discombobulated. I mean, I'm always discombobulated, but even more so tonight. Starting about a half hour late, so we'll try to get us going quicker than normal, just because, again, that was a pain in the ass trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Big thank you to Tony from the Shining Wizards. If he listens at all, he helped me out. Jesse Ozog just being rude, and I was going to be nice because Kate wasn't here, but not now. Not now, Jesse. Just not now. Hi, Scott. Hi, Matthew Hooks. Hi, Big G. Hi, Fernando. Hi, Trey. Hi, Taylor Cannon. Hi, 2LT, and anyone I missed. So, Joe, how you been?
Oh, I'm not bad. It's not my birthday today, but I'm not bad.
Real quick, was your birthday on a Wednesday this year, too?
Yes.
So all three of us had a birthday on a Wednesday this year?
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's really weird.
It's meant to be.
We are the Dynamite Podcast. Who else shares it? I mean, because I was, and now Kate is. So for anyone wondering, there is no Kate tonight. She is out getting crazy for her birthday. I think she's, gambling away her life savings, probably buying some illegal substances. Maybe she'll wind up in jail. We're not quite sure. But either way, there's no Kate tonight. At least as far as I'm aware. You can never trust her. She lives her own wild life. But so yeah, that's where we're at. I wasn't here last week, but I'm here now, so that's all that really matters. We can now make fun of Kate for skipping the grind, not me. So yeah. Sorry, like I said, that whole thing threw me off. I was getting all ready to go and all whatever. So did you miss me, Joe? That's the big question.
You weren't here last week?
That hurt in a way.
I could have sworn you were.
That hurts, Joe. That cut me deep in my soul. There used to be adrenaline. You've now cut it out.
Well, the key is to have a soul.
But yeah, so here I am. What do you think of tonight's Dynamite?
It was a solid Dynamite. They've been on kind of this year streak of really good in-ring shows, and tonight was just kind of one of those, when it's Beach Break or whatever it's called, where they have these themes. They really seem to do. It's like a little, mini pay-per-view, and I thought it flew by for me. Like some other people were saying in the chat, and yeah, I really don't have a whole lot of complaints.
Oh, nice. I'm trying to think. Was there any big news? I'm going to two places. Was there I liked the show too. I thought it was a lot of fun. Everyone seems to everyone thinks it moved quickly. The big question was there any news this week? Am I missing any? I didn't think there was any real. Well, There was unrelated. So we'll go to was there any AEW news this week?
I can't think of anything. I was busy with other things. I probably wasn't paying attention as much as other weeks.
All right.
Well, there are some beaches in Chicago. I'm sure there's a beach over by Lake Michigan.
Yeah, we had this argument before, and I forgot how that Chicago actually touched.
Big G says Willow resigned. I knew her contract was up.
I'm very glad she resigned. She's awesome. She is as much she's a big part of what I think AEW is trying to do with in general, and to let her go, I think would have been a big mistake, I guess you'd say, for those. So Yamina came over, but we see her in the show. So Willow resigned. So it's been a good week in terms of women in AEW.
Sky Blue came back. So yeah, I mean,
Sky Blue came back. He had Azumi was on tonight. But there was a bit of sad news in the wrestling world this week. Sabu unfortunately passed away at the age of 60, which is far too young for anyone to pass away in this day and age. I don't. Did they release what happened? I'm not that we need to know. I mean, that's between him and his family. I just didn't. I'm guessing now. Okay. So yeah, it's unfortunately, according to Phil Lindsay, the Now Arena isn't in Chicago. Yeah, I hear it's like when people say that the Giants and Jets play in New York, but they don't actually play in New York. They play in New Jersey. Yeah, it was sad. Were you a Sabu guy?
I mean, I knew of Sabu a lot during ECW. I mean, I don't think I was a huge Sabu fan as far as following his career. I just knew of him through ECW with Taz and Sandman and Raven and all those guys. But yeah, I mean, the fact that he's been going as long as he has, and a lot of those guys from that era aren't going like he was. So he wrestled until the very end.
He did. I mean, that he had that what is it? Well, I mean, unfortunately, I think as Jesse Ozark's pointing out in the chat, he had that last match against Joey Janela at Joey Janela's spring break.
He had a match after that too.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm. Like a
I didn't know that.
Or something.
But he I'm not gonna get much into the Janela story. I feel like that I don't know enough about any of that stuff to have a proper comment on it. Like I will say it reads very bad, as into things that shouldn't go down. But one, I wasn't in the room. Two, I wasn't around them. And three, like I said, I don't know enough about what he took, what he did. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what that. I'd never even heard of that thing before.
Yeah.
But that said, did you by any chance? I don't know if you live a busy life like the rest of us. My favorite thing is the Matt from the Shining Wizard story about Sabu. Have you heard it?
No, I might have missed that one too.
He told it on Monday. Now, he actually originally told this story when he was still a member of this podcast before his pizza adventures took him away from us, sadly. When Matt was 17, I believe, maybe, he was working. He was a working age. He attempted to use a box cutter to cut himself to have scars like Sabu because he thought it was cool.
That tracks. I mean, knowing Matt the amount I know of him, that makes sense.
It does track.
I mean, he is a founding member of MBW.
Was it? Wait, Masochist back? Yeah, it was MBW. I couldn't. He was. But he, like I said, I remember he told the story on this. It is probably one of my favorite. And listen, I don't often say like I have a lot of moments where I think because this was unintentionally funny on my part. He tells the story, and I'm thinking, because he doesn't start off with that he's like how old he is. So I'm thinking he's got to be like 12, like, and he goes, he tells us that he was working, and I just remember being like, or he tells us like whatever age he was, and my response just was, you were old enough to have a job. And it was in just clear, like, almost disappointment of like, what were you doing, Matt? But that's just me. That's my I apologize. I'm a little distracted. I'm still, when I went to fix get us logged in tonight, I like went into things I don't usually go into, like different emails and stuff. So now I'm trying to just sort myself out, and I'm on my last one, and then I can get back for you. But yeah, so it sucks. I was not Sabu was an interesting one for me because I was very much aware of ECW, because obviously, one, I was watching wrestling in that era, and two, where I grew up, I could watch it. Like, it was on the local networks for me. So but it hadn't really made its way into my full fandom yet. So he didn't hit as hard. My friends and I would joke about him because they just like to do the pointing to the roof. But you can't deny what he did for the sport and what the inspiration he was to a lot of modern wrestlers, because so much of his style got taken over by everyone else. And now I should be a little less distracted. I finally stopped getting annoying pop-ups on my computer from trying to log into things I haven't logged into in 3 years. I didn't know where I had the stuff saved to get on here. Okay, that's a whole different story. But anyway, all right, we'll go to happier things. So tonight we were AEW Dynamite, in the greater Chicago area. The show kicked off with the tag match of Hangman Adam Page and Will Ospreay versus the Don Callis family, which was Takeshita and Josh Alexander. This was how do I want to say this? Because it was a can they coexist storyline in a way. It wasn't quite as bad as most can they coexist, in the sense of, like, for most of the match, they could. There was absolutely no issue with them coexisting for most of the match. It wasn't until the very end where they kind of started to have some friction, but then they hit the buckshot hidden blade, and that's a cool finisher if they were an actual tag team. So they won. Adam Page and Ospreay won with a buckshot hidden blade on Josh Alexander. It was a majorly back and forth match. I'm actually shocked they won, because Don Callis family is like an established. But Takeshi and Alexander are more singles guys than they are tag. It's a whole thing. After the match is when you saw the friction come in, because, and I have a comment on this, but we'll get to that in a second. Takeshi and Alexander attack Ospreay and Hangman after the match. They get him down. Ospreay manages to fight everyone away. He thinks Alexander's walking up behind him, but it's Hangman, and he goes and he hits him, and then that becomes a whole thing. So the only time they really had it really looked bad was at the very, very end. So what do you think of the match, Joe?
Solid match, knowing all four of those guys are going to be in it. Good balance of, you're really chugging that water. Chug, 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 chug. Take it. Yeah, there you go. It made a lot of sense in the ring as far as, the Don Callis family being cohesive, even though they've only had a few matches as a tag team together. I actually thought Ospreay played more of the the more distrusting one of the two, of him and Hangman. He had multiple times throughout the match where he kind of hesitated to tag or didn't want to tag in Hangman. No, multiple times where he almost hit Hangman, and then he finally did accidentally. So I was interested to see how he was the one who was a little bit more distrusting compared to Hangman. But I love
Kind of makes sense because Hangman's the bigger bastard, so you would be more distrusting of the bigger bastard.
How big a bastard can he be when he comes out to the ring and signs a kid's shirt?
You'd be surprised.
Okay.
I mean, Cena's a heel in jorts. You just never know.
But the finishing move of the butt shot hidden blade was great. I love the fact that Alexander's headgear flew off too, which was added to like how intense of a move that is.
What is so in the chat we have Sloan Might saying nope. Sloan Might, what are you saying nope to? And hi Kylie. Thank you for joining us. Hangman does plenty of things wrong. You can forgive him, but he does plenty of things wrong. So what I loved about this, there's two wrestling tropes tonight that this is the first of two of them that I highly enjoy, even though they're the most illogical things in the world. Hangman and Ospreay win the match. Hard fought match, a bunch of close calls, like all this stuff. And then Alexander and Takeshita hit them once from behind, and they put them on their asses. I'm like, you guys just had a whole match, like, and they're fine, but you're not. I love that wrestling trope of like, this guy just took everything you had, but your one cheap shot after the match is what drops him. And you're fine now. Like, you're not dealing with the fact that you just had a whole match. I know it's one of my favorite little. I do appreciate Don Callis after the match when Takeshita and Alexander were beating down Hangman and Ospreay. He starts to walk into the ring because he's going to be cocky, but that's when Ospreay turns it around and you see him run down the steps. It's little stuff like that I appreciate because it keeps it's the reality of the moment. Like, wrestling's biggest issue sometimes is struggling to keep I just realized my camera was off center. Wrestling's biggest issue is sometimes struggling to keep reality out of the fake world it's creating. Like, and that's because it blends into reality too much. Like, you don't watch Game of Thrones and go, man, I'm struggling to stay in this reality because this world, because real life's coming through. But you would if when a scene is like halfway over, the background actors stop reacting. Like if they just kind of did nothing. And some wrestlers do that, or managers do that, where like when they think they're not involved, they kind of just do nothing. Where it's like Callis, like I said, he walks up and then he runs away. Like he didn't do anything in the actual scene, but it adds something to me. Maybe not to everyone else, but for me, it adds something where I notice it. After the match, we have a Top Flight interview where they yell about MJF, and then they yell that they want the tag title, a shot at the Hurt Syndicate. But then Dustin Rhodes and Sammy roll up and try to like give him a pep talk, and we'll get to that later. There's just a whole lot of yelling. Is there anything specific you care about this, or do you just want to wrap this up in the later segment as well?
No, we can probably wrap it up in the later segment.
I got questions about this whole thing, but
it's a little convoluted for me, but you know.
Yeah. So then we have Ricochet versus Zach Gowen. Ricochet walks out still holding the leg, which means that Zach Gowen has been without his other leg for a week now. No, even in real life, even in the reality, like he probably has backups, but still, just rude. I liked I don't know if there's a lot I want to highlight about this match, except it wasn't a full-on squash, which I appreciated because Gowen has wrestled for 20 years. So like you gave him the credit of being a guy who wrestled. I don't think when he was wrestling in WWE or doing stuff there, I was watching, so I didn't really know his style. I like that his style is essentially make you just try to wait you out and have you make a mistake. Like they don't try to like over make his offense like over sensationalized. It's Ricochet runs in the quarter, he gets a kick in the face. Ricochet does that, he gets reversed. Like it's all like making your opponent beat themselves, which I just appreciate. He does have that 1 foot moonsault, which is just wild. But Ricochet wins by pinfall with the spirit gun. Ricochet continues to be going up after the match, and then Mark Briscoe makes a save. So what did you think of this match?
It looked like a Zach Gallen match. I feel like he still did a lot of the same things that he did 20 years ago, back when he was on WWE and other places. But it was an interesting little arc from Collision to today to have this match with Ricochet. I mean, it was obvious that Ricochet going to win. And also, I don't know how much I care about Zach Gallen trying to steal a win using his leg to hit Ricochet. That doesn't seem very sympathetic babyface to me. But
I did laugh because at one point he hits Ricochet in the face with this, like he just said, but he hits him with the shoe portion, right? And why I'm laughing, I'm like, that's essentially like just a big boot to the face. Like, what is like? It's not like like they're treating it like he hit him with like a baseball bat or something. I'm like, he essentially hit him as if he had just kicked him, which has been happening all throughout this match.
That's fair. He probably should have used the other end and used it as a bat.
But I get you don't want to break the other end. So, like, I understand, but it just made me laugh. After that match, you have MJF being interviewed, and then the Hurt Syndicate walk up and tell him that after their match, they expect him to go to the ring. Renee gives him a nice pat on the back, which was very funny. And then you have the Hurt Syndicate. The Hurt Syndicate. That's right. I'm saying their name to the rhythm. Versus Top Flight. I mean, I'm hard pressed to describe this as anything but a squash. Yeah.
I mean, I don't get what I mean. To what Scott George said, I think Scott had mentioned that Top Flight had gotten worse instead of better, and I don't know if they've gotten worse, but they certainly haven't gotten better as far as their standing. And I feel like these squashes only further hurt them. So yeah, I don't know where to go from here after getting squashed.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I don't know if they're worse or they're just
not positioned in the best spots anymore.
Now I will say part of that might have to do with the fact that their promos have not overly improved. I don't think they're bad. I didn't mind tonight's, but that could be the only thing I'm thinking about. Logan James, we are going to get to the Big Gabe Kid showing up portion, but we are just as surprised as you are, at least in my opinion. I didn't think he'd be showing up tonight. But yeah, I don't know. So after the match, they're getting beat up by Hurt Syndicate, and out comes Dustin and Sammy Guevara, basically saying stop beating them up, and they want to challenge the Hurt Syndicate to a fight. Then comes Crew, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, okay. Get it? That was a joke. Like I didn't. No one's fine. I'm not funny tonight. Do I have crickets? No. All right. I can't play cricket sound effect. There you go. Thank you. The joke was that no one knows, but it's actually Andretti and Leo Rush. They actually have a good point. They beat the Top Flight. So why wouldn't they, if Top Flight gets a chance, why wouldn't Crew? Now, I actually like Crew. The reason I made that joke is because I feel like AEW has been very inconsistent in legit, like not booking them well, or I mean, just flat out booking them, like putting them on TV, like they're hit or miss. Whether they were a Collision watch along thing, like they would watch matches and then they'd have a few, but they've never been consistently. But then
Yeah, their music hit, and I forgot whose music that was.
That was my joke. Like, you didn't know, like, and that's not them. I think Leo Rush and Action Andretti are. I mean, Leo Rush is clearly amazing, and I actually think Action Andretti's it really walked into the heel role pretty well. But then it gets into a whole sparring match between Dustin and them. But I will say, at least they referenced Leo Rush and Bobby Lashley. Leo said, "Hey, Bobby, because of our history, why don't you give us a shot?" All right, my thing here is Dustin tells Crew not to jump the line. But how are they jumping the line? They beat the team that just had a shot.
Right.
And why are Dustin and Sammy, like, I don't mind, actually, I don't mind Dustin and Sammy as a tag team. I think it's worked well, but they've been so ROH focused. So why are they now coming up to the AEW side? Like, it's
that's my complaint, or my gripe, is that I don't want the ROH tag team champions try to get the AEW tag team championships. Like, keep them separate. You're gonna lose, so you're gonna look even weaker. Have a match against Top Flight or Crew and let them beat you for the ROH tag belts instead.
Yeah, I by the way, I do appreciate Jesse saying, I think Dustin just meant he got out there first. Now, if that is the way tag team title shots are determined, that's awesome. This is like, who gets to ask first? But this is also the downside, though, of when you have a physically monstrous champion. It's like you don't see Top Flight, you don't see Crew having any shot against them. Like,
I don't see Sammy and Dustin having a shot.
No, and that's the problem. Like, they're like, when the Young Bucks or FTR champs, like, they're all there, but they're not so physically like over imposing that you're like, no one can beat them.
You know what?
Bobby.
What would be really good to have, like, to have private parties get their win back.
Yeah, I mean, that's, to me, I want to see a private party come back as a different type of private party. Like, they took that loss to heart. And
public party?
No, a VIP party.
Ooh.
But, like, they took that loss to heart, and, like, they're fucking serious now. That's that's the private party I want to see return. The slow am I saying Bobby can beat both teams out by himself? Like, that's Bobby, but Shelton's also a big fucking dude. Like, I think people underestimate his help because Shelton's standing next to Bobby. People want, so, like, you have these two monstrous guys, super athletes too. They're not like, it's one thing if you have two monstrous guys who can't move, which AEW doesn't really have a lot of anyway, but it's a whole nother thing when they're, at that next level. But then after all that drama, MJF comes to the ring, and it is time for well, first, hold on, I almost missed a great moment. They call MJF to the ring, and he doesn't show up. So Shelton, MVP tells Shelton, go find him. So Shelton runs to the back, and he goes, where is he? Is he Tony Khan? He's right here. He's right here. And honestly, I know it was so geeky. I loved it because it was the perfect way someone might treat MJF. Like, you don't like him, so you're going to rat him out instantly. So MJF gets to the ring, and it's the vote. You have Shelton. I mean, I don't know why they even toyed with his. We knew he was going up. He had already gone up. And they have Bobby, and Bobby does his, and then he goes up. And MJF literally jumps on Bobby for a hug. And then he runs around the ring. We hurt people. We hurt people. And then they say next week is the official contract signing to be part of the Hurt Syndicate. And they're hugging each other, and it's all happy. But it is the most trolly, sinister hugs and okays I've ever seen. They're gonna hurt him next week, right?
There's gotta be something in their contract, that some out or stipulation or something, because I don't know. I like that Renee planted that thought in his head that he didn't think about him getting hurt tonight by getting rejected. So yeah, I later on when you saw him talk about wanting his lawyer to review the contract, we have Mark Sterling come into camera into frame. I wanted the Hurt Syndicate to have their lawyer jump in camera into frame. Maybe they'll be at the next week. Don't they have a lawyer? The other guy? So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I was trying to think of who their lawyer is, but you're right.
Yeah, but overall, I'm interested to see like where this is going, like long run, like them being a tag team, MJF trying to win singles gold again. Like, how does this all kind of tie in together?
I'm with you. I'm very interested to see where. I really am hoping this is a Cedric swerve to like bring him in to be like, we wanted 4. This is our 4th. Because it just wasn't. Max can't be part of that group. He doesn't, for so many reasons, he doesn't fit. But I'm not sure where they're going with. I don't know. But believe it or not, I am curious. Some people aren't into this. I am. I'm very much bought into this angle. I think this is because part of me wants them to have discovered MJF was pulling a shifty move on them, and them to have figured it out and stopped it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my hope. Because like MJF is clearly better as a heel. So I don't want him to turn face because they betray him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the Hurt Syndicate will be the faces if anyone.
Yeah, sure. But I'm just saying. And Big G, no, Cedric isn't actually signed with AEW at this point. It's just that he was obviously part of the Hurt Syndicate, and they keep saying we want a 4th. And Max is just so much not the 4th that we want him to be the 4th. That's basically where I'm going with it. We then get to our women's what do they call these matches?
It's like a 4-way eliminator match, right? Like
Eliminator. I couldn't think of eliminator. You have Azumi versus Mina Shirakawa, making her official AEW debut as an AEW wrestler, versus the returning Sky Blue versus Toni Storm. Couple things here. Toni Storm dancing to people with more modern music will always crack me up. She's so good at the little character things she does. Mina did not get the reaction she deserved because people were confused about her music.
But at least we got her old music at the end.
And if you listen to Tony Khan on Twitter, it's because people complained. Sky Blue did get a reaction because Sky Blue, people love Sky Blue for she was doing so well before she got hurt. So like they're just happy to see her back and see if she can continue that trajectory. And then Azumi is really Azumi is really, it's AZM, but it's not AZM.
Azumi.
There you go. I'm so bad at names. She is a New Japan strong wrestler who didn't technically beat Mercedes. She pinned Mina, I think, in a triple threat that took the belt off Mercedes, which is a fun way to protect Mercedes, but start taking some belts off of her. And I think Mercedes' time with that belt was done anyway. I'm not a big New Japan Strong follower. They don't have a lot of stuff anyway. Like they're more like a monthly promotion, but she's not able to dedicate full time to New Japan. Azumi is I keep wanting to say it wrong. Azumi is a very good wrestler. So like she's a lot of fun to watch. This was your typical 4-way all over the place with a lot of talented wrestlers. But the big thing here is that Mina won with an inside cradle on Toni Storm, meaning she's earned herself an AEW Women's World Championship match, a Double or Nothing. I think this is the first time Toni Storm has lost an eliminator match, which is good. Finally, make them matter. Like I don't want champions to always lose eliminator matches because then they don't matter, and I don't want champions to always win. I like this. Like, each one can matter. After the match, Tony and Mina kind of like have a funny stare off, and then Azumi is attacked by Mercedes Moné, but then Mercedes gets attacked by Jamie Hayter. So that was fun. So what'd you think of the match and the post stuff?
I thought the match was pretty fun for what the time they were given and everything, and knowing that these 4-way matches can become a cluster. Azumi looks really good, especially for being she's like 22, I think, or something really young.
She's really that young? Dear God.
She's really good in the ring. And I thought Mia looked a little better. Like, I don't know if because the reps she's been getting over in Stardom where she was, but I thought she had a really good match for the most part tonight. And yeah, I think it was nice that Tony lost and it automatically set up the title match for Double or Nothing. And then after the match, I like the fact that we were able to incorporate Mercedes and Jamie, and also, connect them to this a little bit, and also promote their match coming up at Double or Nothing. So yeah, I think it achieved a couple of different things.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of all what you just said, and like you said, I didn't realize I'm still shocked at Azumi's age at 22. Jesus Christ. I think Mina's going to be a lot of fun on this roster. She was a lot of fun when she was doing her stuff with Mariah, but now being full time, I think she's just someone that when she walks out, people cheer, and I think that's huge. I'm reading Big G's comment. Sorry. Well, I think security was catching up to Mercedes. And by the time they got there, Mercedes was already down, because Big G asking about why security only stopped Jamie Hayter and not Mercedes. And I just think it has to do with timing.
Because they're haters.
People hate on my jokes. Just hate on my jokes. Yep, so that was a fun match, and I'm excited. Are you excited for Mina and Tony?
I am. I'm interested to see how it plays out, because I don't see Mina winning. Okay, I think the match that we all are expecting would be Mercedes and Tony at All In. So, but it's a good way to bring Mina back into the fold and put her in a big match right away as a reintroduction. Agreed.
Very much agreed. You have a very nice moment where Excalibur talks about Sabu, and then Taz gives his own eulogy, and it was very sad, and you could tell he was close to tears, and that was just a very nice but sad moment. Then you had Tony Schiavone in the ring with Nigel McGuinness, and he's talking about Collision from last Thursday, because the Collision was on Thursday and not Saturday this week, wherein Nigel kind of got himself involved in the Garcia match, and Nigel comes out and he apologizes to Daniel Garcia, being like, hey, my interference might have cost you the match. But then Garcia was like, no, you did what you had to do. You stood up for yourself, and I would love if you were my partner to take down FTR, which of course is what everyone wants. Stokely then comes out and he says, FTR isn't here this week. And immediately my mind's like, all right, so at the end of this, they're attacking Nigel and Danny. Like, the minute you say FTR isn't here this week, I'm like, well, they're here. Like, we both know that. And this is the other trope I had, is that I saw that coming a mile away. I knew they'd attack them from the back. And yet Nigel and Daniel Garcia, the guys who are in this business, don't even see it. Just love that wrestling trope. I legitimately do. Stoke takes his shots at them, and then takes a shot at Nigel, saying you couldn't even beat hepatitis, which was oof. It's I don't know how to react to it, because that was a shot. And then of course FTR gets in and they look like they're going to be beating the hell out of them, but Matt Menard makes a stave with a crowbar in hand. What were your thoughts of this whole thing?
I'm glad we're getting the Nigel Danny tag match. Stokely has been really good at being the agent or the mouthpiece here, the manager. He offers a different type of promo than what Dax and Cash gives you. So it's been a nice change of pace for them. And I don't see Danny and Nigel winning. And I'm kind of just waiting for Matt Menard to turn on Garcia.
You think so?
I feel like this whole like mentor and big brother thing has run its course, where I feel like Matt Menard can pull the old no, you're not appreciating me or something, or thankful enough for what I've done for you, or that I looked out for you. I don't know. I can just see him doing something like that. So I feel like they need a little refresh of their character.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I could see that. That's not a terrible idea. I mean, all right, I'll roll with you on it. I didn't necessarily see that coming, but I'll roll. I go where you go.
It's the whole NXT crew, back with the revival then 2.0.
Oh yeah.
All those back in the day. We'll go with that.
FT.0. So then we come to our main event. It's Jon Moxley versus Samoa Joe in the steel cage match. Moxley was bleeding fairly early into this, as expected. This was brutal. I mean, this is what you expect from them. These two guys know how to use a cage. They do it very well. It was hard-hitting, brutal. But of course, as is with every fucking Death Riders match, shenanigans.
Say shenanigans one more time, Ron.
See, you go with Super Troopers, and I go with South Park, where they call shenanigans on the carnival. But and then it's a legitimate complaint. But you have, at one point, you have Powerhouse Hobbs chase off Yuta. Willow gets involved. But the big surprise here is that when it all looks like it's going Samoa Joe's way because Willow helps and all this, Gabe Kidd, disguised at first in a hoodie, gets involved and slides Mox the briefcase that ends up winning the match for him. I did not see Gabe Kidd coming for this angle. I'm not saying I didn't see him entering AEW. I just didn't see this angle being the one that he would do it for. The post-match, we'll go post-match second. First, let's go over these two questions I have for you. First, are you with me in that the match was fun and you really like the match, but you're just sick of shenanigans? And two, what do you think of Gabe Kidd?
With you, I agree on your part about the match. I would have much rather have the match gone longer. I felt like the actual match itself wasn't as long as all the shenanigans after the match. So I'd like to see him run back here sometime later down the line. I'm actually kind of surprised in the match that Moxley didn't try to work over Joe's arm more. He worked on the leg and all that stuff. I'm like, the dude's been choking you out week after week. Why don't you take away the arm?
Good point. Like, if that's the thing, like, I remember watching, I don't know where I saw this clip, so it wasn't on his Netflix show. It was like probably just a random YouTube rabbit hole you get sucked into, and this is going back 7-8 years now. I saw an Al Snow thing where he talked about, like, if you're in a match and you know you're going for like a leg submission, you're going to work that leg all match, and that's the story of the match. Or if you know the guy has a good punch, you're going to work that, try to break his hand all match. Like, he talked about that being a story. So in this case, you're right. Joe's whole thing has been choking out Mox, but he makes no play to prevent the choke. Joe, why aren't you agenting this match?
You don't want me to do that.
Well, now I do, because
I can armchair agent, yeah. But and then the post match stuff, Gabe Kidd, like you said, I didn't see him coming in this storyline. Him being AEW, sure, we've seen him a couple of times. I'm curious to see if it's going to be one of those things where the Bucks called in a favor through their New Japan ties and brought him over and to help.
That's a good point. I mean, what sucks is there's so many different aspects of this Death Rider story that I like now, but they keep ruining it with the rest. Like, if they didn't have schmoz finishes for all their matches, Gabe Kidd coming out to do this would be incredible. If they hadn't dragged this out too long, this would be like, I need to separate it. You basically need to separate the Death Rider story into like 3 different parts. And you liked part 1. Part 2 was god awful. Part 3 is fun again, getting fun, but but part 2 is ruining my enjoyment of part 3. Is part of the problem here. But after the match, you have the Bucks come down with they have the cage controller, and you think it's going to be celebrated. You think they're going to hurt Samoa Joe and all this. Then Kenny comes out. He lays out a couple guys, but then Okada gets him with that gut punch, and they bring in Kenny, and Joe's already in the ring. They bring them in, and the Bucks lower the cage. Like, we're going to really damage them. And then you hear, whose house? And the place erupts, and Swerve walks out with Prince Nana doing his dance, and Swerve climbs the cage quickly, I might add, gets the top, and jumps off and does a double stomp. And then he lands, and I have to give him credit. It's one of my favorite things I've seen them do for an individual wrestler. They made Swerve look like the biggest fucking badass because he lands in this ring having put everyone on their ass. He's standing looking like I'm gonna kill someone. Matt Jackson is freaking out trying to raise the cage so he can get out. He doesn't want to be in there with Swerve. Everyone looks afraid of Swerve, and he's still outnumbered. He looked so fucking badass. And it does seem like we're going to get anarchy in the arena. What do you think?
Oh, we are. I mean, they pretty much called out for it. So, yeah. I mean, if Swerve isn't the person to take the belt off of Moxley, then I don't know what they're doing with this booking. But like, you obviously have built him up to be this like feared individual who is crazy, who will take on all the Death Riders and whoever else and the EVPs. So if he's not the one to overtake that power, I don't know who else it can be, because he's the one you put the belt on.
Agreed. He like, it does still feel like their long-term booking has always been Darby, and I think Darby's still too far away from coming back. And even if he's not the guy now. Like, sorry, things have progressed, and there's other guys who are just better for it.
Well, yeah, he has to come back, however many months down the road, and then you have to build him up a little bit again.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can't do it for another 4 or 6 months.
Meanwhile, you have Swerve, you have Ospreay, you have Swerve and Ospreay right now.
Yeah, Kenny.
Kenny, yep, Hangman. But of the two that are at least in the Kenny's involved in the story. I don't see now. Big G doesn't want Swerve to win the title. I do. I don't know why you don't, Big G. That's fair. Everyone's got their whatever, but he just seems to be the biggest badass in the situation.
Yeah, I want Swerve to win the title, and then that eventually leads back to a Swerve Hangman title match.
Fair. So that was our episode of Dynamite. Beach Break Part 2 is next week. So would you say we're on a beach break?
Ryan, I think I might.
Wait, I think we're on a beach break. All right. Again, I apologize. I had no intention of making this a quick show tonight, but losing a half hour of trying to log in really screwed my night up. Really, really messing me. So we're gonna do end it here. Joe, when you're not here, where can you be found?
Well, I appreciate everyone sticking around in the chat and bearing with us.
Yes.
So that's much appreciated. But when I'm not here, I'm living life, doing work things and stuff like that. But you can find me on social media at _Asian Joe. And yeah, I mean, I have a serial blog, but I haven't done anything with that in a month or two. So whenever I do that, I will let you know.
All right. You can follow me on all our socials at Mark Order Pod. You can follow my history blog hereforhistory.com. I did just publish a new one yesterday about the West Virginia coal mining wars. It's a very interesting part of American history that most people don't know, and I didn't until I read about it. So it's not like it's wild. So I would encourage people to read that. Plus, it's my work, so just be cool. At Here for History or at _ Here for History, depending on where you're at. Thank everyone in the chat: Sonomite, Big G, Jesse Ozog, Scott George. I'm blanking. 1LT, Kylie, 2L. I was going to Taylor Cannon. So thank you all for hanging out. Again, a little bit screwy of a night. We got started late, and I never settled in because I'm still getting notifications for things I haven't logged into in a while. So with that, I am going to turn back up the volume of the outro. But first, I got to put on the outro overlay, which is that. And then I hit.
This concludes the Mark Order Podcast. We now return you to your regularly scheduled program.